What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. In the last few days, I've been talking a lot about how gaming is taking a shift. I mentioned a lot of, I think players need to consider coming to PC. And for the most part, I get a lot of pushback. Some people say some things about PC that, make it seem like I have no concept as to the barriers of someone adopting a PC platform. I do. I used to play on console primarily before I came to PC. I mentioned this to you guys in my last video. I came from the PS4, went to a PC before I started making YouTube videos in 2016. Now, I don't know how people may read the way I say things. Perhaps the way I'm very cut and dry, no BS, straight to the point, may rub some people the wrong way. It is not my intention. However, I don't mince words when it comes to truth. If truth has to be like an arrow that pierces into your liver, let it be that. And all consequence be damned. That is how I see truth. So you might have to bear with me a little bit because at the end of the day, I'm not really trying to convince most people. I'm just trying to inform them. I don't care what decision a person makes. You can choose to be a console player. You can choose to be a PC player. You can choose to be a console, handheld player like the Switch, or you can choose to be a PC handheld player. At the end of the day, the reason I decide that I don't intend to convince people is because I want the person to choose. It is your own right and prerogative to choose how you wish to spend your money. The one thing, however, that comes into play many times is there's a lot of ignorance as to a lot of PC gaming, the way most PC players, see gaming in terms of gaming on a PC. And somehow PC has been dragged into the console war because it's been convenient for the most part. When in reality, I've seen PC as a market, a place where a game developer, a place where a publisher can come and thrive and make money so that they can continue to invest and provide value for the customer. I don't necessarily care that somebody is using a gaming PC or using a console. I care that the company that is actually making money on PC is able to invest that money and provide the best product for everybody else. This is my perspective. So a lot of the ignorance in regard to what PC is about, I think is just because people don't really know. And also because people like this continue to spout nonsense. So Reforged Gaming says he has a problem, one of many that he's had with PC gamers. So I'm going to watch this and we're going to approach this with some common sense.
This is something you got to consider with something like Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws.
Hold on.
It was really, really bad. Jedi Survivor does have performance issues on PCs, but the game is playable. Here's the thing about the PC crowd. This is just an observation that I've noticed. And this is something you got to consider with something like Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws going to be coming out multi-platform. PC user base, I don't know what percentage of sales they're anticipating from the PC user base, but something I have observed from the PC universe and the PC player base is, bro, they'll walk on your game real quick. Do you want to know why? Because they can get their money back. And I think as much as the PC Master Race guys can be super annoying and they act like they're not fanboys when they actually are bigger fanboys than others, right? Their lack of self-awareness is always a little amusing.
Well, that is a little interesting because at the end of the day, it's not necessarily been, the fanboys more than the value proposition. This is the highest layer of anybody who's gaming on a PC. This is the most important thing for them if they really are serious about their PC gaming. Maybe if you're new to PC gaming, like, maybe perhaps you just kind of got into it. The real hardcore PC gamer is dollar for performance PC gamer. They don't necessarily care about the box as much as they care about how much money they're spending and what that money is going to provide for them in terms of performance of the video games they play. This gentleman does not know anything about most PC players. How do you even prove what I just said? Channels like Linus Tech Tips, Gamers Nexus, Hardware Unboxed, Jay's 2 Cents, and a plethora of others are the highest viewed channels in regard to PC gaming performance rather than the reviewers of video games. Did you hear what I just said? And if you didn't even know any of these channels I just mentioned, then more than likely, you're not even in a PC ecosystem. There are YouTube channels whose main primary job is to provide information, data as to how the market in a PC sense is going and how the consumer can get the best value for their buck. Channels like these are the primary aspect of the focus of the PC gamer. How much hardware can I buy for my money? On my channel just the other day, we were talking about this, and somebody told me, one of my audience members said that I was a grifter for suggesting that you can build a PC for $600 that's going to perform like a console or even outclass the console at the $600 price point. And I laughed because my focus as a PC gamer is exactly what the market is doing and the pricing. Many of you who may be on console may not believe it because you're used to seeing people throw out these numbers like, oh, you need at least $1,000. People like this over here, I've seen him throw out stuff like that before. And I've laughed because he has no freaking clue as to what the PC gamer values. Because a PC gamer doesn't necessarily care at the end of the day what game they're going to play if they don't have the hardware that can give them the very best value for the game that they're going to play. Because the reason primarily why most PC gamers are on PC is because of the performance in terms of their hardware. This is where I think the misconception comes into place, and people think we're talking on the PC platform always about exclusives and all this stuff that many times you see in the mouths of console, critics and console commentators. They're mostly talking about the games. It's not until the PS5 and the Series X came into perspective that for the very first time some of these consoles delivered 60 FPS that the conversation on performance actually came to the forefront. Everybody used to enjoy their 30 FPS games until, Xbox said, we're putting in a processor and you can get 4K 120 FPS in Tetris or in some games, depending on if the software, basically supports it. And the PlayStation 5 threw out up to 8K, that this whole conversation came into place. Whereas many of us have basically been watching a lot of these particular, channels for the longest time. Even remember, if you're in the PC space, remember Linus Tech Tips, right? They got a huge call out from Gamers Nexus. This was a big deal. See, Gamers Nexus goes into conferences, sits down and interviews top executives in the hardware space and is a no BS channel because they basically are consumer focused. They sat down in the meeting where NVIDIA said, or what's their name? I said NVIDIA. Oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the company that makes some of the best, that used to make some of the best NVIDIA GPUs back in the day, the Kingpin brand, where this company basically was saying that they were leaving the GPU, manufacturing business. This is what we're concerned about. I don't know who this is, and I don't know how this person is. I mean, guys, should I sit here and start talking about this stuff, and basically just making an effort into correcting a lot of this nonsense? Because this is misinforming people. This is high-end misinformation going out there, or suggestive, pointers that are basically fooling people all over the place. Let me keep listening to what is said here. I don't know. And then he said, something about refunds. Like, you can get refunds on Xbox too. It's PlayStation that is I don't know how they do refunds on PlayStation, but on Xbox it was a smooth process.
It leads to some weird takes, but as annoying as they can be, I think they're probably the strongest consumer base.
Why do you think that is? Because they spend their time looking at charts and graphs. And looking at data and evidence and looking at what the facts actually do say, rather than sit there and grift. Like, somebody called me a grifter today. That was a little, I don't know, that kind of made me a little like, what? Where did that even come from? Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. This is what we veg on. We literally will be listening to Hardware Unboxed and their Q&A sessions and all this stuff, fighting over performance issues and value to dollars and all of these different things and why it's beneficial to buy this hardware and why this hardware over here. And because of the way gamers have been very pivotal in the PC space, Intel and NVIDIA basically has reached the market competition that's exploded the availability of PC hardware for anybody. The reason you can build a gaming PC for $500, $600 that will outclass a console is because the CPU market is one of the best markets that you can actually leverage right now in terms of pricing. I've told you guys this before. For $100, you can buy a CPU that can actually run Unreal Engine and do most tasks. The only thing this CPU that is actually recording this particular video you're watching The only thing this CPU is not capable of doing is running the Lyra project. The Lyra project is an Unreal Engine shooter project. That's a really, really huge, massive project. But if you actually cut that project down to some of the, files, you'll run it. If you think I'm making this up, here's my Unreal Engine, playtime that I actually do from time to time. Whenever I have, I don't know, sometimes I just want to mess around and I really don't have anything I want to do. And I'll just basically come here and just start messing with Unreal Engine stuff. And I'll run them, build and load textures and, all of that crazy stuff. Because that's basically, the capability of what this is actually affording me. So I don't necessarily know how, I don't know how people actually see this stuff. Here it is. For those of you who may be wondering, like, what is he trying to show us? I don't really know what people are trying to, put into perspective when they say this stuff. But here are just some of my projects that I work on, and I use a Ryzen 5 5500. If you're wondering if I'm actually making it up, let me show you what this, PC specs are. Here you go. If I go into my PC specs, and I go into, whoops, I hit the wrong button. I'm using a Ryzen 5 5500. My GPU, I'm using an RX 6800 XT. Yeah, it's able to do the job. But a 1080 Ti and this CPU, it can also do the job as well. I can fire up the engine without any problem. I can open big files that you can see here without any issues. So what is this stuff that these folk are talking about? Like, they don't even know what they're talking about.
At some level, not at like mass purchasing level, because a lot of games don't sell as well on PC as they do on consoles, and Nintendo games would probably always do better on their platform. Like, they're always wanting Nintendo games, and it's like I don't think that's ever going to happen. And plus, you guys
wanting. I think, okay, well, maybe wanting, but, don't make it sound like it's hard to get. And I must not say any more than that. Right? And if people are saying that, if he's saying these games are not selling on PC, then it means these games are probably not in the wheelhouse of a lot of PC players. However, if you make a game in the wheelhouse of a lot of PC players, you'll sell and do as well as Starfield did on PC. That's a simple fact. Right? I know Starfield was such another great game, but it was there selling on PC anyways. Elden Ring, oh my gosh, 10 million copies on PC anyways. And even to this Star Wars game, if he even knows anything about Ubisoft does very well in terms of PC sales. They actually do well when it comes to PC. Their Division 2 game got carried by the PC community because the console sales at first were not good. It was PC that basically kept that game afloat in terms of how many copies it sold. So I don't know if this gentleman really knows what he's talking about, but, let's just indulge.
Steal him anyway. So, Nintendo's never going to do that. But I actually think they're in a stronger position than a lot of consumers out there. Yo, DK Baker with another gifted membership, taking us to 3 members on the day. Thank you so much, DK Baker. I think they're in a stronger position because they can literally just take their money and walk. Your game sucks. Your game runs poorly. All right, that's fine. I'm going to get my money back. I'm going to leave a bad review, and I'm just going to peace out on your game, and I'm not coming back.
So even with the vitriol and his underhanded, slight-handed remarks, he still sits here and mentions an advantage that PC players enjoy. Because on Steam, good old games, their refund policies are actually very strong. But they're not to be abused. Does that make sense? But they are strong. But like I said as well, Xbox also had a really decent refund policy. The very first time I actually, wanted to play Starfield, I bought the Game Pass $30 upgrade so I could play early. That's as much as I paid for Starfield, by the way. I just paid $30 and I have my Game Pass subscription. Still haven't even bought the game. I'm waiting for the sale to go down. I want the price to go down. I don't want to pay more than a specific amount for the game, if you get what I mean. So
that's the other thing that I actually think happens with PC games. They don't come back, bro. They don't do this whole, well, they're committing to fix the game. Now, some games maybe, but like Cyberpunk wasn't as bad on PC as it was on console. So like I think Cyberpunk at launch was like a 75%. So like Cyberpunk would be an example of a game that like fixed itself over time and still continue to get like people's allegiance and support. on PC, but something that I've noticed from the PC platform over the years, bro, they just take their money and walk. They're like, no thanks, your game sucks.
Can you list games that PC players didn't come back to after the developers put in time and fixed the game? No Man's Sky, people came back for that. If he can list any games, I'll take his word, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think it's on a case by case basis. I don't think you can really generalize it, fully. I mean, The Witcher 3 still did well. I mean, it came out busted, right? Did it not? People still came back after it was fixed up. So, I don't know.
Game's bad. I don't like the they are pirates take. There would be just as many pirates on console if it was possible. Didn't people pirate the...
Anyways, there's just a lot that, usually goes around when it comes to people playing on PC that, for the most part, if somebody wants to really be honest about, what it is that they do in regard to, gaming and how they see other, platforms, I would recommend that they actually do a little bit of homework rather than just make these generalizations, because they continue to misinform people more than anything. It makes our job hard because when you're trying to inform people, like I said, I don't care if you're convinced, but when you try to inform people, it's because of things like these. And I'm not saying he's the one that's necessarily saying all these things, but I've seen many people say them. It's things like these that basically make it hard for you to be able to inform people based on the data and based on the facts. Right? So if you can actually do something like what I just said, right? You can actually open up a game engine and you can play a video game with that game engine. Open or whatever it is. Sometimes I can open up Unreal Engine while I'm playing a video game because the CPU affords me to. My GPU, yes, it gives me a little bit of oomph to do that as well. It is a 6800 XT, but you can also do that with the 1080 Ti as well, or a graphics card that is of equal standing and usually many gamers are not even building their builds to be able to do game development as a hobby anyways, or do videos, right? Most of the time they're building their computers just to solely play games. So they don't even need that GPU kind of juice for the most part. And I'm sure some of you are probably thinking, he's capping, he's just saying nonsense or whatnot. But while I was talking to you, I just fired up Unreal Engine. I just literally did. It's right here. Right? With the $100 CPU, which will do a lot of its processing as well, right? I hit play, my third-person character comes into place. I run, I jump. Now, it's not a full-fledged game, but it is quite impressive that you can multitask like that with such a very small setup, because for the most part, the technology really does support what it is that you're trying to do. So again, all these takes about PC and stuff, I would just say people need to, there's a lot of immersion. There's a huge learning curve. There's a lot of education that goes into kind of understanding and knowing how the technology works. And I don't even know anything myself. I'm still a noob when it comes to a lot of it, but it's rough when people, basically feel the need to drag you because of misconceptions and because of agents like these that don't help in the conversation because they have some kind of a weird... I remember watching one of his takes where he says, why don't you PC players don't get your own exclusives? And I was laughing because I was like, you don't need an exclusive on a platform that actually makes the exclusives, right? The PCs make the games. They do the production work. So why would you have to have an exclusive? Unless, of course, you're making your game and you don't have the resources to be able to make it available for console with regard to time, and so on and so forth. That's why those games are going to stay on PC. If they have a player base that's already established on PC and they don't know if they're going to be able to build a console player base, they're going to exist on PC and stay there. It's not like the developers really intend to start out saying, oh, we just want PC to be able to play our game. It's usually as a result of opportunity for the most part. It's the consoles that usually start out saying we want to make it for our consoles and want to make it exclusive. Even those Switch games that you're seeing, they're all developed on a PC. Where else are they going to make them? From thin air? So I think the conversation is much more nuanced than that. And I'll try my best to be doing the videos in this way just so that I can provide a lot more details and a lot more information in order for people to be able to see what is available and what is out there. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out.